Welcome to Cosmic Diaries. This is Priya Kali, your astrologer, and welcome to a historic Capricorn full moon, which takes place tomorrow on the 10th of July at 4:36 p.m. here in New York on the Cancer Capricorn axis. So pay attention to where you have Cancer and Capricorn in your chart because these areas of your life are being illuminated and there's a need for balance. Full moons will mark the end of a cycle. So we are reaching the end of the cycle that began with the Cancer new moon on the 25th of June. And this is the peak of the cycle. So you might want to look back at what was being seeded at the time of the new moon and in the days following and what you were putting, into motion, because now things are coming to light and we're getting a chance to pause, reflect, take stock, and realign with ourselves as we realign with our goals and our ambitions as well, being that this is a full moon in Capricorn. So I'm going to get into the chart for this full moon. And again, this is a historic lunation. In the past couple of weeks, Uranus is now newly in Gemini, and Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, Capricorn speaks of time and history, is now stationary and about to station retrograde. So there is, in the coming days, we can expect powerful revelations coming through globally. Definitely pay attention to the news and the media, as well as in our personal lives. We're learning information that could be absolutely mind-blowing, or at the very least, asks us to question what we think we know and what we believe and why. And we're seeing new ways forward. So there's a lot to unpack here. This is we're under some really complex astrology, but it can also be very liberating now as we find the strength and will to let go of past patterns and emotional baggage and whatever is preventing our progress as we step into this new chapter and new era now. So yes, I'm going to dive into the chart, but before I begin, a warm welcome to everybody who's watching. Thank you for being here. And of course, if you're new to the channel, very warm welcome. I love having you here, and I hope you enjoy this video, find it insightful, and I hope you subscribe and stick around. And if you're coming back, of course, a very warm welcome again. And I'm happy you're here. So, and I hope you've subscribed to the channel as well, so you stay notified when I make more videos. And to be honest, I've not been recording as much as I'd like to. I've been busy with clients, and I do work with clients one-on-one. So if you're interested, do reach out to me. But I've been busy with clients, and more importantly, the recording is not hard for me, but editing takes me time. And so, but Uranus is in Gemini, and I am hoping that I can do this quick, short, concise, and get on with it so I don't have to edit too much. So thank you for bearing with me. And again, if you like this format, please do like and subscribe to the video and leave me a comment and give me your feedback. I could use all the encouragement to keep recording. So thanks for watching. But with that said, I'm just going to dive into the Capricorn full moon chart. Starting with, as I mentioned, a full moon is the time when we're reaching the peak of a cycle, and full moons will bring revelations. So pay attention to where you have Cancer and Capricorn in your chart. This area of your life is being highlighted, and there's a need for balance now. We are in Cancer season, and the recent new moon on the 25th of June was in Cancer. And Cancer deals with themes of home and family and our needs for security, and on all levels, emotionally, mentally, financially, spiritually, physically, food, shelter, water, clean drinking water, all the basic necessities of life. It also deals with, all our needs and emotions. And there's a need now. Jupiter is newly in Cancer, which is magnifying this energy. And we're swimming in our emotions right now. So it's important that we're processing our emotions and learning to emotionally regulate. And this is going to be an important lesson for us in the coming year, for over the next 12 months. So the quicker we get the lesson, the easier it will be. There's a lot swirling within us. But now the moon, which is the ruler of Cancer, is in Capricorn. And Thus, there's a need for balance between ourselves and the world around us. And Capricorn speaks of, Capricorn is the third earth sign. So it speaks of worldly success, big businesses, government, military. It speaks of the structures that uphold our society. It speaks of, on a personal level, qualities of dedication and hard work and discipline. It speaks of mastery. Capricorn is also the sign that speaks of the father and the paternal lineage. So, with Cancer Capricorn, especially with this axis, our childhood and our family and our generational conditioning is all highlighted. Societal conditioning, generational conditioning, as well as our family and our needs and our security and our family values. These patterns are very much in play right now. And as the full moon aligns, whatever is happening in your life at the moment on the surface, this is also a chance to go deeper and uproot old patterns that we've outgrown and no longer serve us on a root level. And then we can truly start to make progress. Over the next 2 weeks, as the moon wanes, we are in a process of releasing. So this is, the moon in Capricorn, first of all, with all of these themes being highlighted. The ruler of the moon in Capricorn, Saturn, significantly in this chart, is in Aries and now stationary, and stations retrograde on the 13th of July, so just 2 days after the full moon. So there's very much a sense that whatever, and Uranus, as I mentioned, is just newly in Gemini as of the 7th of July. So as the full moon aligns, there will be information that's coming through. There will be revelations coming through that are presenting us with choices and that are drawing us out of our comfort zone, certainly. And with Saturn stationary and about to station retrograde 2 days later, there's very much a sense that whatever we learn in the light of this full moon is asking us to pause and reflect and take a step back before we can, fully move ahead. And so with that moon in Capricorn, on a personal level, certainly over the next couple of weeks, we're releasing emotional baggage. We're releasing past patterns we've outgrown and what no longer serves us. But there's also a need to let go of old ambitions we've outgrown and to look at the traditions that we're keeping alive and what now we're letting go of that no longer align with who we are today and our awareness today. I mean, if we think of it on a global scale, Capricorn does speak of, worldly affairs. The world is changing. I mean, we're in a whole new era now of Uranus and Gemini. And the next 3 months, so until the 7th of November, Uranus will be in Gemini. And this is giving us a win. And then after the 7th of November, Uranus returns to Taurus, where it'll stay until April next year, and then it'll return to Gemini until 2033. So the next 3 months are essentially giving us a window into the future, or giving us a glimpse into the future. And as we see that, Saturn represents thresholds and gateways. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Thresholds and gateways. And there's a sense that, we're having to look at the future, and our choices are very much creating our future right now. So as we see the possibilities and as we learn information, we will have choices to make. And for that, we're going to have to realign with ourselves to ask ourselves what we truly want. Capricorn speaks of our ambitions and our goals and of success. So professionally, I mean, and even personally, it doesn't have to be only professional goals, right? Wherever you've got Capricorn in your chart, that's where this energy is playing out. So for example, Capricorn, I'm a Taurus. I have Scorpio rising. So this full moon is on my third house and ninth house axis, and third house in my natal chart. But third house is about communication. And here I am trying to, recording a video after a while. So, and I'm not above the astrology. So this is certainly at play with, I can see this energy playing out in my life for sure, in many other ways, but that's one way where I'm trying to get back into the groove of recording and, looking at what's not working, and I'm sifting through work and making choices and decisions. And so it is for all of us. There's a need now to really clarify our goals and our ambitions as we are today. And then as we do, there will be a need over the next couple of weeks to let go of what we've outgrown. Of course, on a physical level, it's time to clean house, but even metaphorically, it's time to clean house. We're uprooting and breaking free of generational patterns, perhaps, where the buck stops with us. So, and there's always room for growth. Capricorn is a Saturn ruled sign, and Saturn speaks of mastery, but Saturn also teaches humility. And the more humble we are, then we can continue to grow. It's when we think we know it all that we stop growing and we age and become brittle and dead, so to speak, because anything that's alive is in a process of growth. So recognize that although Capricorn speaks of that success and peaks of success and peaks of experience and the peak of human consciousness, so yes, think about your goals in a physical sense in terms of your life, but also Capricorn invites us to look at how are we growing as human beings and, as a human race. I don't usually talk about politics, and I'm still not going to, and I don't talk about, I'm not a mundane astrologer, but it's impossible to ignore the state of the world, right? I'm not blind to it. And Capricorn speaks of military as well. So with everything that's going on in the world, to me personally, and I'm sure many of you agree with me or see, it's shocking to me that in 2025 we're still at war and we're still killing each other. It just makes no sense to me. Even animals don't do that to each other, so what are we doing and how far have we come as a race? And it's very easy to sit here and blame others, but there's no end to the blame once we start blaming people. And we can't wait for the government or people in power to do something. We, each and every one of us now, with this Capricorn full moon and Saturn in Aries conjunct Neptune, I'll talk about this in a minute. But it's like with the Saturn Neptune conjunction, we're being asked to realign with our soul mission in terms of why are we even here on this planet. And on a spiritual level, on the deepest level, the only or the ultimate destination for any of us, any living sentient being, is self-realization. And I've said it before, and I'll probably say it again, spiritual teachings will all tell us that our self-realization is the greatest gift and service we can do for this world. So if nothing else, at this Capricorn full moon, and this Capricorn full moon is also marks Guru Purnima in the Vedic calendar. And Purnima means full moon, and Guru means our teachers. And in the Vedic tradition, the Guru disciple, Guru Shishya relationship is considered to be the most sacred relationships, because we consider the Guru to be an incarnation of the divine in the flesh. And on this day, at the time of this full moon, it is said that the grace of the gurus, all the ascended spiritual masters, Buddha, Jesus, whoever you can think of, it is said that their grace is showering down on us. And it's not that it isn't at other times, but the way the sun and moon are aligned in the part of the sky that they're aligned, the planetary configuration at this time makes it more easy for us to access this energy. And so, if nothing else, at the time of this full moon, every year, this full moon in Guru Purnima is a time to really deepen your meditation practice, your spiritual practice, and to give thanks to your teachers, all your teachers, and this life, because life is our greatest teacher. So, if nothing else, at this full moon, take a moment to give thanks to this world for all the lessons you've learned. And Capricorn is a sign of old age and maturity. So certainly there's that sense of, our entire life has brought us to this moment, and all our life experiences, good, bad, difficult, joyful, all of them have led us to where we are today. And it's not just our lifetime, right? It's the lifetimes of the generations that came before us that have all converged into who you are today. And now here you are. And so, and what are you going to do with your life? And this is the Saturn Neptune conjunction, where Saturn speaks of our mortality and of mastery. So Saturn in Aries itself, the next couple of years, is a time of self-mastery for everyone on this planet, where we're really learning to master ourselves before we can bring about any change in the world. And with Saturn conjunct Neptune, Neptune is the planet of divinity and of the soul. Its energy is boundless. So in one sense, these are two very opposite energies that are merging right now. And this is a very rare aspect that happens once every 40-ish years. And so you might want to look, the last time it happened was in Capricorn, occurred was in Capricorn in about 1989. So you might want to look back at what was unfolding for you in 1989, depending on how old you were. Because Saturn and Neptune were conjunct then in Capricorn, incidentally. And now they're conjunct in Aries. And this is a conjunction that's in effect over the coming year. And it's a highly idealistic aspect. So, especially with this full moon in Capricorn, Saturn being the ruler, we're having to align with, yes, our ambitions and our goals, but this is about a soul mission. This is not just about success, which can come, but it'll come. Success really is the fruit of our hard work and comes from our mastery, which is putting in the time and dedication and having the discipline to work at something. Then there's success. So rather than success just in the eyes of the world. And it's also important now that we question what success really means to us. Because all the success in the world wouldn't mean anything if it didn't mean something to you. So make time to reflect on that now as you realign with your goals and ambitions and a soul calling. With Uranus now in Gemini, we're having wake-up calls. And again, we have important choices to make that will alter the shape of our lives for the foreseeable and, forever. So, and alter the course of our destiny. And there is no wrong choice. That's one thing that is important to remember. But at the same time, it's important that we make choices that are in alignment with ourselves and an inner truth. And in this case, our heart. There are also important truths that are coming to the surface slightly at this time. And maybe we're having important conversations that's revealing another side to the story. It's important that we're keeping an open mind now. With this full moon in Capricorn, it's important that we're letting go of old conditioning. Then we can start to see the reality of situations. And whatever the past was like, it's gone. It's time to learn our lessons and then unburden ourselves of any weight that we've been carrying and recognize that, there's no room for regret or guilt or blame or shame or any of that. Because again, they were lessons that we had to learn. But now that we have learned our lessons, and as long as we have learned our lessons, we don't have to fear repeating them. With Saturn the ruler of Capricorn stationing retrograde in a couple of days, there's also very much the sense that, something, I mean, this could play out in infinite ways, but there's a sense of having to lower our guard a little bit and look at where we may have had walls up that now we can take down and we're safe to take down. So we can allow in more support and understanding and opportunities and abundance and well-being. Because there is support for us right now. It's a matter of us being able to also be willing and open to receive it. And then, of course, be able to lend a hand where we can, But that's where this Uranus is in Gemini is coming in, where there's a need for an honest dialogue and communication now. Mercury, let's talk about Mercury in this chart for a minute. Mercury, and I haven't even gotten into the full moon's aspects, but Mercury is in Leo. And Mercury, well, Leo's ruled by the sun, but Mercury rules Mars in Virgo, rules Venus in Gemini, Uranus in Gemini. And Mercury is going to station retrograde on the 18th of July. So Mercury is a key player in the astrology of July. And Mercury speaks of communication and of the mind. And it's important now that how we're communicating, and we're doing it from the heart and not from the ego. That really is the key to bridging a gap or closing a gap in any situation. And it starts with really closing a gap within, because any conflict that we perceive outside in the world, really, it's got nothing to do with anything external. It's an inner, that conflict resolution has to happen internally. And with the way the astrology is right now, with the moon full in Capricorn, moon is said to be in its fall in Capricorn, because, the moon rules Cancer, which is an emotional, watery sign, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is the sign of, planet of limits and boundaries, and it's an earth sign, dry earth sign. So the moon is not comfortable in Capricorn. And with this full moon in Capricorn, it's like there's a lot that's swirling within us, which we're not fully, it's not easy for us to share. There will be a need for emotional maturity to navigate the coming days. And things will open up as the days unfold. But as the full moon aligns, certainly there is a sense of, situations reaching ahead and tension reaching a peak before things start to, ease out a little bit. So there's a need for emotional maturity with the moon in Capricorn, and recognizing that, again, emotional regulation, there's a time and place for things. If anything triggers you, I'm not saying that it will, but if anything does trigger you, I mean, given the aspects, this full moon is also in a T-square with Chiron. So there is a need to keep awareness of our wounds and the ways we feel wounded, and then again, our needs and what we want and what we're trying to build for the future. There's a lot of self-reflection that's required right now as we realign with ourselves before we start expecting other people to fulfill our needs. And I mean, that's another key lesson here, is that nobody's responsible for our needs, and in one sense, we, no matter who or what triggers our emotions are our own emotions. And ultimately, the lesson really is for us to gain mastery over our own emotions. That's the moon in Capricorn. So that no one and nothing has power over them, where we're able to maintain that sense of emotional equilibrium, no matter what's going on, and then respond to situations with awareness. And so with this Uranus in Gemini, we're learning, Uranus has just entered Gemini. So this is a very new energy, and we're still getting used to this energy. And Uranus in Gemini is a sign of duality. So historically, I mean, this is something that I don't want to dwell on too much, but I will mention. Historically, The last time Uranus was in Gemini, we had World War II. And think of, Gemini duality. It can be, Uranus is revolutionary, so it can, on the one hand, be a divisive force that puts people against each other, but it doesn't have to be, because ultimately people are people and planets are planets. And as we grow in awareness, at best, we can be that light in the face of darkness. And if we've found a way to resolve that conflict within us, then by example, we can share that with the world around us. And the sun is in Cancer. Don't underestimate the ripple effects of who you are and your being and how it affects each and every one that you touch. It's like ripples in a pond. Our lives are affecting more than we think and we know. So at best, this is a chance to realign with ourselves and to move with our own, in alignment with our own integrity. And we're all walking a fine line here right now, where again we're reevaluating our limits and boundaries. And just in the past couple of weeks, Venus, well, on the 4th of July, Venus made a conjunction to Uranus in Taurus and entered Gemini, and then Uranus has followed. So Venus speaks of our relationships and money and creative matters and all matters of the heart. And there have been important reality checks now. Whatever's going on in your life, certainly for all of us, we've had important reality checks. And now this is a wake up call where we've seen what's unshakable, what's unbreakable, what's real in situations. And we're also seeing what's not sustainable anymore. So as we enter this new era now, we're going to have to, again, realign with our boundaries and limits and reevaluate them and look at the walls we're taking down and then look at the choices that are ahead of us. And it's also important to remember that we don't have all the information. In fact, there's a lot more that's coming to light in the, just after the full moon, of course, but also Mercury is about to go retrograde on the 18th of July, as I mentioned. And then Mercury will be retrograde until the 11th of August. And then we'll station direct again. And, so pretty much till the end of August, we're going to be recovering the territory that we've been in since the 30th of June. From the 30th of June to the 18th of July, we're going to recover this territory 2 more times till about the end of August, early September, which means that there's a lot more coming to light and we're seeing another side of the story. And when it comes to our relationships with this full moon, certainly there is the opportunity to deepen bonds, but we're also closing old chapters and we're letting go of historic, childhood patterns and maybe patterns that we've inherited from parents and caregivers and society and, our experiences as children. And we're releasing that emotional baggage so that we can then show up more authentically in our connections as we are today. Because we're not who we were a month ago, a few weeks ago, let alone a year or 30 years ago. And if we're going to sustain our connections, then it's important that we're being honest with ourselves about our own needs, not expecting somebody else to take care of them, but to acknowledge our own needs and then as we realign with ourselves, meet others halfway. And that will come through honest communication. And again, this is about heartfelt communication and being able to drop the ego. Then we can truly communicate and reach a deeper understanding and understand the truth on a deeper level. And again, this is just the beginning of Uranus in Gemini, where I'm going to record a separate video for this, so I'm not going to get into it too deeply right now. But this is an awakening. And it's like our future is calling it. This is a wake up call. And but it will require deep honesty and us being willing to let go of our beliefs, or rather, at least question our beliefs and where they come from, or why, and why do we believe what we do believe. So, because we don't have all the information, and the next 8 years are going to show us, it's going to blow our mind in terms of what we think we know right now. So leave space open, keep an open mind now. This There's another very interesting configuration that's going on here, which is Saturn is in a sextile, Saturn Neptune conjunction is in a sextile with Pluto and Uranus, and Pluto is trine Uranus. So this is really inspiring, exciting, magical, and it feels like, after this full moon, whatever peak we're reaching, there are new doors opening, and we're seeing new ways forward. We're seeing new solutions. We're learning information that's sparking new ideas. And there's definitely deep healing on offer. This full moon is past a trine to Mars and is in this T square with Chiron, as I mentioned. Chiron also speaks of healing, and Mars is in Virgo, and Mars rules Aries, where Chiron, Saturn, Neptune are. So there's also deep healing on offer here, and a chance to build bridges and, again, take down walls. Take that as you will. And it feels really exciting, where doors that were shut are now perhaps opening. But it begins with opening those doors in our mind, really, because with Uranus in Gemini, it's like free your mind and the rest will follow. And with this full moon trine Mars, it's almost like, we're taking stock of our lives. We're seeing what is and is not working. And Mars is approaching a conjunction to the South Node. So we're breaking free of the past in a powerful way. And we're unburdening ourselves of the past in a powerful way. And as we clarify our dreams for the future and see new pathways to the future. So there's very much this dual process of dismantling the past, taking responsibility for what's been created already, and then looking at our present goals and what we're trying to build and create, and then looking. This is a chance to now really let go of emotional baggage that prevents you from making that progress in your life. And this could be on a personal level. It does not have to be on a professional level. Even coming back to relationships, with Venus in Gemini and Mars in Virgo and Mercury about to station retrograde, communication is key. Open-hearted, open-minded communication is key, with an effort towards healing, where the past is past, it's done. Everyone has learned the lessons, hopefully at best, but we can't expect another person to change. It's about us realigning with ourselves and showing up authentically. And the more honest we can be with ourselves about what we need and what we're building for the future, we can connect with others to build something together greater than the sum of what we could create on our own. Venus will square Mars on the 23rd of July, which is just a day before the new moon on the 24th. And that's a renewal and a new beginning. And relationships are reaching a turning point by that new moon. But between now and then, Mercury will go retrograde. So there's definitely that need to keep space for communication open. And even if there's silence, meaningful silence can mean more than, 1,000 meaningless words. So it's not just about talking for the sake of talking, or tradition for the sake of tradition, or, being bonded to someone for the sake of being bonded to someone. Because this full moon, Cancer Capricorn axis is certainly asking us to break free of patterns of codependency so that we can show up authentically in our relationships by choice, which goes beyond, you know, that's this Venus conjunct Uranus in a trine to all of these planets and then squaring Mars. Unless relationships are based on honesty, truth, and everybody being there of their own free will and choice, they can't sustain themselves. Or they can, but I mean, they really can't. There's a need for trust as well. And that comes with honesty, that comes with time. And trust is something that's built with time, yes, but that also means that, trust doesn't mean that the other person will never hurt us. In fact, the closer we get to people, the more likely it is that we'll get hurt because we're closer and more bonded to them, and that's why you can say, family bonds go so deep because we are that deeply bonded with our family, whether you love them or hate them, no matter how you feel about your family, that's where you come from. So, and then there's chosen family, right? But point being, there's no guarantee that we'll never get hurt by getting closer to someone. But whether you've been, whether you're in a relationship or not, you're in a relationship with the whole world and you have all kinds of relationships in your life. So this applies to all your relationships, but certainly in terms of significant partnerships, whether you've been together for 2 weeks or 20 years, it doesn't matter. Right now, with Uranus and with the way the planets are, we're all experiencing an awakening to our own patterns and past. And this is a call for all of us, each and every one of us, to show we're all showing up differently in our relationships. And that's just natural given the planets. Things are being shaken up. So the more we can be aligned with ourselves and be honest with ourselves, it'll be easier to communicate and get on the same page with others. And the truth, can be uncomfortable to face at times, but it will set you free, especially with Uranus and Gemini. And more importantly, with Venus conjunct Uranus, especially in this chart, even, and at the time of the ingress, truth is that the truth is sweeter than we think. It's just a matter of us looking at situations with our heart and the eyes of the heart. So when it comes to relationships, certainly we are ending cycles and closing chapters in terms of our own patterns and ways of being, so we can show up as we are, more authentically today, and then meet others halfway and have those honest conversations and dialogue, or then at least allow space for silence till everybody processes what they're feeling. And I think I started to say this earlier, and I don't know if I finished my thought, but I will, where we are in Cancer season and Jupiter is in Cancer. So there's a lot of emotions that are swirling within us. And yes, there's a need for maturity as we navigate these emotions, but it's important that we process what we're feeling first and then we communicate, because otherwise, we're cycling through there's so much coming up in the coming days where, we could be feeling differently every couple of hours. So depending on how you're feeling, find emotional calm first. The waves are always crashing on the surface. Get to the depths of your own emotions first. And I'm certainly speaking to myself as well. It's just not just you guys. This is a reminder for me too, where it's important that we learn to first figure out what we're feeling ourselves, and then we can communicate clearly and bring clarity and have the clarity we need. Communicate clarity, listen to what another person is saying without jumping to conclusions, because again, with that Uranus energy, it could be easy to blow hot and cold and get a hold of the wrong end of the stick. So move slowly as this full moon aligns. Mind your own business. That could be for Capricorn, really. Take time to really focus on your life goals, your soul mission. Look at what's surfacing within you. Be honest about what you're feeling, what you know needs to happen, and what now needs to be released and what's holding you back. It's time to take stock of what is and is not working. Then we can truly start to make progress here. And I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to say. So with Chiron in this T square with the full moon, Libra is the sign opposite Chiron with the missing planet on this cardinal cross. And that's another important indicator that there's a need for balance here now. And our relationships are certainly in focus. And there's a need for peace and harmony when now, with Saturn about to station retrograde, me personally, again, I'm not a mundane astrologer, but I really have hope and I pray and I'm asking you guys to keep this vision alive because I know no matter who you are, you share this sentiment, which is I hope that this means there's a pause to military action and there's a stop to military action so that there can be an opening of real dialogue in terms of how we can start to build a better world for everybody. Everyone alive deserves the basic necessities of life: food, shelter, clean water, clothing. We may not, I mean, we have the power to vote. That certainly is our power. And with Pluto now in Aquarius, Pluto has been moving through Capricorn from 2008 until November last year. So we've just been through this entire era of Pluto and Capricorn, where Pluto has exposed the corruption in government. And now with Pluto in Aquarius, this is about the power of the people and the power of the collective. So we can't, I started to say this, we can't wait for the government to make a change. With this full moon in Capricorn, this is a call to each of us as individuals to align with our soul mission and why we're here on this planet. Self realization is one goal. And then we still have to live in this world. Not everybody is meant to go sit in a cave and meditate. So then to get aligned with our soul mission. And that may or may not have anything to do with being famous or, successful in the eyes of the world. We could live completely fulfilled lives, just living our lives, doing what we do. What matters is that inner satisfaction. And that's what I mean by what does success mean to you and what really brings you a sense of accomplishment and or what would make you feel proud of your own achievements, you know? So make time now to reflect on your goals, your ambitions, your boundaries, yourself, who you are today, who you're growing into. And at the same time, unburden yourself of the past. We've all learned difficult lessons and that have shaped us into who we are today. But that's not a life sentence. We can always change anything about ourselves that we want to change. And yes, that takes willpower. But with the planets the way they are right now, we could be breaking old habits that have really, don't serve us anymore. It's true for all of us. There are patterns that we're leaving behind and emotional baggage that we're leaving behind so that we can show up more authentically and live life to our fullest potential in terms of manifesting our fullest potential and in awareness that we're always growing and as long as we're alive, our mission on earth isn't complete and we're here for a reason. And what that reason is, maybe you alone know, or it's between you and the universe and you and God. So take time for that self-reflection and self-alignment, and reflect on your goals moving forward and the past you're leaving behind as you move over this threshold, and also the walls that you're taking down, so you can allow in more of the support that you need, and share the support and love you feel, and heal the past as you enter in this exciting new chapter of your life. And maybe last not least, but I should say this, I should have said this before, with the moon in Capricorn, as we close all chapters, yes, we could be grieving and there could be grief. But grief, like all other emotions, it takes time and it's a process. Grieving is a process. So if there's anything that you're grieving right now, certainly be gentle with yourself, be gentle with people around you, because everyone's feeling sensitive. And certainly at the time of full moon, where everything's just a lot more heightened. So it's important, if you're grieving anything, then there could be bittersweet emotions that are certainly we're all experiencing right now. It's not just all joy and happiness, but it need not be all heaviness and darkness either. It's understanding that, this mortal life, we were meant to experience all our emotions. It's just a matter of not letting them stagnate and cripple us. Our Saturn teaches lessons, and Saturn's lessons can be hard lessons, life lessons. But these lessons are meant to soften us, not to harden us. And with time, again, with this full moon in Capricorn and now Saturn in Aries, there's a sense of, us having to reconnect with our inner sense of wonder and returning to that sense of innocence while integrating our entire life experience so that we can keep that inner flame and childlike spirit alive no matter how old we are, and look at the world with those eyes, with new eyes, because Uranus is in Gemini and there's a need to be curious. There's new opportunities and new ideas and information, and there's so much new that's sparking here, showing us a way forward to manifest our dreams and goals. It's a matter of keeping that heart and mind open, and then trusting that we'll be shown a way. As we take responsibility of the past, present, future, we can unburden ourselves of the past. And then with the new moon in Leo, we begin a new cycle of creation and we start again. So I'm sure I could go on forever, but I'm going to pause and stop here for now. I hope you found this useful and insightful. And yeah, I'm 100% positive I'm going to have more things to say. So do sign up at cosmicdiaries.substack.com. That way you'll be notified when I make new posts. And of course, subscribe here. That way you'll be notified when I make new videos. I'll be back with Uranus and Gemini very soon. And of course, if you want to work with me one-on-one, write to me for a consultation. Or I do also, I forgot to mention, I also have been working with clients one-on-one monthly in my Inner Journey Natal Chart Immersive program, where we deep dive into your natal chart over 12 sessions, over 12 months, for a real experiential understanding of your natal chart. And the sessions are recorded, so you can listen to them for a lifetime. It's basically, this is a roadmap for your life, to the seasons of your life. So if you want to learn more about that, do email me. It's something you want to do, I would love to work with you. But with that said, I'm going to pause here for now. A very happy Capricorn full moon to everyone. And go slow. And I'm sending you love with the moon wherever you are. From my heart to yours. Namaste. Bye for now. See you soon. Next time.